In the headlines to the CBC Newsnight, the Prime Minister highlights the unprecedented escalation in the number and caliber of assault weapons in the Caribbean. The Energy Minister stresses that wide consultation was undertaken for the proposed electricity supply bill. COSCAP wants action from the recently established National Advisory Council on Citizen Security.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
Good evening and welcome to the CBC Newsnight. I'm Wendy Burke. In a riveting speech at the UN General Assembly, Prime Minister Mottley highlighted the unprecedented escalation in the number and caliber of assault weapons in the Caribbean and called for global peace. She says the weapons end up in the hands of criminals wreaking havoc on society and the criminal justice system, particularly in small island states in the region.
This scourge caused by guns manufactured in the United States of America primarily also requires a fundamental reset. The right of persons to bear arms in countries not engaged in military conflict should not be an opening to accept as legitimate the presence of assault weapons in countries. It is simply not right. There is no place for assault weapons in our societies.
Mindful of the ongoing wars and their impacts, Prime Minister Mottley also called for a global reset on peace. She says the silence on the war in Sudan is unacceptable, and she also called attention to conflicts in Myanmar, Ukraine, and Israel's war in Palestine, which has now spread to Lebanon. She says these conflicts are but the tip of an iceberg of death, violence, and instability, robbing the global community of oxygen and resources. Ms. Mottley says the root causes of these wars must be addressed.
One by one, and the manners in which they are being sustained and financed, we will never know anything else other than war and rumors of war in these theaters. The transmittal of these scenes of horror in real time into people's bedrooms, into people's living rooms, will trigger two extreme reactions, neither of which are acceptable to us in the third decade of the 21st century. We will either get the desensitizing of ordinary people to the loss of lives, especially those of innocent children and women on the one hand, or we will get, on the other hand, the anger and inclination for vengeance that it spawns necessarily. We need peace.
Ms. Mottley welcomed the inclusion of Palestine at the UN General Assembly and called for the country's full integration in the international community.
Let me be clear. We condemn the actions of Hamas on October 7th. But we equally and strongly deplore the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza, which is the result of the disproportionate use of force by Israel. There's no justification for it. And that is why treaties exist governing the rules of engagement for war. Because we as human beings learned better and know better and committed to better. A two-state solution, no matter how elusive it may appear to be now, is the only answer.
Global leaders, including Barbados, have approved a political declaration during a high-level meeting at the United Nations committing to a clear set of targets and actions on antimicrobial resistance. Leaders have pledged to reduce by 10% deaths from drug-resistant bacteria over the next 6 years. Thursday's milestone statement, the first on the topic since 2016, also pledges to raise $100 million to fund the updating of countries' AMR action plans and their implementation. Prime Minister Mottley acknowledged the team effort, noting it is a major achievement. She says it's an impressive blueprint for action, telling countries the hard work starts tomorrow.
We have to be able to raise the funding for the National Plan of Action. We've set a very, very modest target of $100 million, and I hope that we can reach out to the leaders within the private sector, the pharmaceutical industries, the meat industries, all of the various players, because, as I've said very often with climate, unless they have a plan to live on a different planet, then we have to define the win-win solution for us all, because this is very clear that this silent pandemic, slow motion pandemic, literally will become responsible for the largest number of deaths by 2050 if we do nothing.
Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, extended gratitude to Ms. Mottley for her leadership in elevating AMR on the global stage. He warned no country is immune from the threat of AMR.
Low and middle income countries bear the greatest burden. Despite the rapid spread of resistance, we are facing an alarmingly dry pipeline for new antibiotics. The irony of AMR is that it's fueled by the overuse of antibiotics. And yet, more people die from lack of access to antibiotics. The threat of AMR cuts across the health of humans, animals, agriculture, and our environment.
Turning to debate in the Senate today, Minister of Energy, Senator Lisa Cummins, is assuring the public that there was wide consultation on the development of the Electricity Supply Bill 2024. She told the Upper House that preparation of the draft bill began in 2019 and involved an extensive and inclusive consultative approach. She added that it also involved a consultant collating the information collected from the public sessions.
That detailed matrix, Mr. President, led to us having a consultation in person at the Lloyd Erskine Sandiford Center, where the public and those persons who had submitted comments were invited to attend. They attended that meeting in their numbers, Mr. President. We used one of the large meeting rooms in LESC because the number of persons who confirmed their participation was so significant. And they came, Mr. President, and submitted their further views on the consolidated text. They had the opportunity, Mr. President, to interrogate submissions that had been made by other parties that they may or may not have agreed with. They had the opportunity to make further revisions to their additional submissions. They had the opportunity, Mr. President, to say, I agree here, but I would prefer something else to go there.
Government Senator Gregory Nichols has responded to people who have criticized the proposed legislation having no provisions for interveners. He says such an inclusion could serve to frustrate the development of the sector.
What is the public purpose of that objection? This is not an objection to how they integrate within the system and affect tariff setting, which is the domain of the FTC. This is not about the environmental impact of the development on the land in Barbados and how it affects communities. That is the domain of the town planner. This is the question. So you're going to ask the minister, or I want to see if they have the financial wherewithal to run the project. I want to see if they have the technical capacity to be able to administer this project. I want to see if their decommissioning plan 30 years from now meets the specifications 30 years from now, because I am an interested party. And if you have an interested party at the level stymieing the development, then you will frustrate the build-up of this sector.
Barbados is going through a period of disruption in relation to its transition from fossil fuels to renewables. This point has been made by Independent Senator Crystal Drakes during her contribution to the debate.
We will still have to rely primarily on fossil fuel, oil, by and large for the next 5 to 7 years. So there's still that cost element or external element of cost coming in that is being imported, because we still will be importing oil from outside to sustain our energy demands. So that mix of renewable energy, fossil fuels, IPPs, independent power producers coming onto the grid, it all creates a level of disruption, Mr. President. And that is what we are experiencing at the moment.
The costs of energy and fuel are of grave concern to opposition Senator Ryan Walters. During the debate, he noted that while the move to the renewables makes sense, the costs to the consumer at the pump and electric bills are still high.
It is no doubt that there has been an ongoing discussion about the high energy cost that Barbados has when compared to our global partners as well. This has been an ongoing discussion, and it has been across governments, so it's not isolated to the last 6 years, definitely not. But we have seen on more than one occasion that we have ranked within the top 10 of the highest gas prices in the world. I think in 2022 we are at number 5. I think we made top 10 in the higher electricity cost in the world as well at some point. So there is clear justification why we would want to move away from the fossil fuels.
Coming up, another stabbing of a student prompts an appeal from the Ministry of Education. The Ministry of Education is appealing to parents to search their children's bags for weapons or contraband of any kind on a regular basis. The call has been made following an after-school stabbing of a student at the Graydon Seeley Secondary School today and a similar incident on Tuesday at the Alexandra School. The ministry in a statement said while the Graydon Seeley student's injury is not life-threatening, it is at pains to think of how a different outcome could have impacted family, friends, staff, and the student body. The executive body of the Congress of Trade Unions and Staff Associations of Barbados has thrown its full support behind the recently established National Advisory Council on Citizen Security. However, General Secretary Dennis DePisa has called for a clear plan to be implemented, noting the time for talking is long gone. He says the violent crime problem which continues to plague the nation is not a political or police problem, but instead a societal one, which is also fast becoming a public health issue.
We hold the view very strongly that action has to be taken. We strongly suggest that it is not the time for a lot of rhetoric. We don't believe that talk is going to solve the problem. Once we can diagnose what the problem is, and there are some things that are very clear to us. We heard statements about 15 people who know about guns. Somebody has to know where the guns coming from. Somebody has to know what is necessary. Some strategies have to be put in place by the law enforcement. I mean serious strategies to create a correct. Tinting of car windows is not the problem. That's a right hand. Yes, there are some excessive. Deal with those, set the standard, but we can't be using right hands.
A minor earthquake was recorded off Barbados last night. The 3.6 quake struck at 8:11 p.m. According to the Seismic Research Center of the University of the West Indies, it was located 135 kilometers north-northwest of Bridgetown and 114 kilometers east-northeast of St. Lucia. It struck at a depth of 10 kilometers. It's sports time now with Mark Seal. Good evening, Mark. What's new in the world of sports?
Well, good evening, Wendy. We're going to start with cricket, where the first of 3 remaining CPL group stage matches will be completed later tonight as the Barbados Royals take on the Trinbago Knight Riders at the Brian Lara Cricket Academy. TKR will be hoping to keep their chances of a top place finish alive, while the Royals are hoping for second place to avoid the eliminator. And that TKR Royals game will start at 8 p.m. It'll be coming at 8:03 though on TV8 Live and also on MCTV Sports Match Channel 310. Now, former West Indies all-rounder Dwayne Bravo has announced his retirement from all formats of cricket after his farewell CPL season was interrupted due to injury. The Trinidad and Tobago all-rounder suffered a groin injury playing against St. Lucia Kings at the Brian Lara Stadium in Trinidad back on Tuesday. He had already retired from international cricket and the IPL. We'll take a break here. Wendy, I'll come back later with more sports.
Why, thank you, Mark. Up next on the CBC's Newsnight, the Business Report.
We are your voice, the 2024 Parish Ambassadors of St. Peter.
Did you know that Barbados has a child protection bill?
The Child Protection Bill acknowledges the connection between child abuse, neglect, and mental health issues amongst our youth.
The bill gives support through mental health counseling to children who have experienced trauma or are living in challenging circumstances.
By addressing the emotional impact of abuse, we can assist children in healing and building confidence, giving them a voice to speak up and speak out. Let's all protect the children of Barbados, the gems of our nation.
In tonight's business news, a U.S. port workers' strike on Tuesday could have serious implications for the holiday season in Barbados. It could cause prices to skyrocket. Longshore workers at the ports from Maine to Texas are set to walk off the job on Tuesday, staging what could become the most disruptive strike in the U.S. economy in decades. The Barbados Chamber and other sector companies are keeping a close eye on the developments. Trevor Thorpe reports.
Sales and Marketing Officer at Goddard's Shipping, Dennis Sobers, says the union contract with U.S. Ports and the International Longshoremen's Association ends at midnight on September 30th, and a strike is imminent, which could be disastrous for Barbados. None of the parties associated with the action are meeting to iron out the matter, and cargo destined for Barbados could be caught up in U.S. ports.
The various lines that come into Barbados that are not going through the United States will be able to come through. However, when it comes to cargo that is going to go through those longshoremen's associations, it will mean that they will hold that cargo to ransom basically until that resolution is taking place. That resolution may take a long time or it can take a short time. But currently, the United States government is not stepping in, and the issue that they're going to have is because they're not stepping in, perhaps because of it being an election year, it's going to cause cargo that normally would come into Barbados being held back until the cargo is, until this union has got what they want, which can take weeks or it can take months.
He said the shipping sector is keeping a close eye on the developments, knowing that any kind of industrial action in the U.S. could mean additional port charges for alternative shipping.
From a shipping perspective, as it relates to cargo coming into Barbados, any sort of delay will cause two things: the additional charges, demurrage charges, that will take place, and also the shipping charges will go up. So if this continues and if it starts, we can appreciate that the cost of goods may also go up during the season, I guess the last quarter, which is really the big season for most shipping companies. And for goods that are coming in, you may find it difficult to be able to afford certain things.
President of the Barbados Chamber of Commerce and Industry, James Clark, says the effects of a possible U.S. port shutdown could be softened depending on the shipping agents used by local businesses.
Each shipping agent has their own arrangements, their own ports, their own, some cases, their own facilities that they come out of. Some may be unionized, some may not be unionized. So any impact is best addressed actually directly to the shipping line, or not the lines, the agents themselves, to find out if the line that they represent will be impacted, if at all, or to what extent by this possible shutdown.
Should there be industrial action at U.S. ports, it would be the first since 1977. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
We're hearing tonight that it is a challenge for the COSCAP receiving payments from show promoters. The revelation came from Chief Executive Officer Erica Smith. She tells the Business Report fees were increased by as little as 5%, but event tariffs have not changed over the years. But collecting money is an issue. She said only the National Cultural Foundation pays.
We do a calculation. We say, okay, you'll pay a deposit. Depending on the goodwill, reputation, and so on of the client, the deposit can be anything from 30% up to 75%. When the event is finished, you have 90 days to come and tell us what actually happened, and then there is usually a negotiated settlement. Now, again, 99% of those people we don't see till the next time they have an event.
Ms. Smith said there is much misinformation in the marketplace, but they're looking at ways to streamline their operation.
We have been offering fixed license fees as well for some of the bigger events. persons who have multiple events annually or, are steady clients over the years, we have negotiated fixed license fees for them. But if you came and did an analysis, you would see that all this complaints about, we pay COSCAP so much money, and we're doing an analysis we will publish. This is not the reality, and it's disturbing.
Here's how the stocks traded locally and regionally today.
In Jamaica, NCB Financial Group Limited with 23,010,093 units was the volume leader, followed by Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares and Burita Investments Limited. In Trinidad and Tobago, Massey Holdings Limited was the volume leader with 48,408 shares changing hands for a value of Trinidad and Tobago $169,853.44, followed by JMMB Group Limited. And here in Barbados, no securities traded today on the regular market.
And that's it for tonight's business. We'll take a break and be back with the weather.
Some ask, what makes Barbados so special? We at Morning Barbados say it's you, our exceptional youth. You are talented, resilient, and inspirational. You are the epitome of the Barbadian spirit, testing the boundaries of your creativity. If you are an entrepreneur, artist, baker, designer, author, or have done anything you think should be highlighted, email us at morningbarbados@cbc.bb. Let us show the world our exceptional Bajan youth.
And we say good evening to Carrie Ann O'Neill, who'll tell us what the weather picture is going to be like.
Good evening to you, Wendy, and good evening, everyone. Well, today in Barbados, the ridge pattern was our dominant feature. As a result, we had just a few isolated showers. Now, we do have Tropical Storm Joyce to the east of the northern leewards, and we're tracking one tropical wave east of the region. The maximum temperature today was 31 degrees Celsius, the minimum 25 degrees. At present, the temperature stands at 28 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity 83%. The winds, they're coming in from the east-southeast. We take a look now at some atmospheric conditions across the region, where the temperatures are ranging from 27 to 29 degrees Celsius. The humidity shows moisture is building across a number of the islands, and the winds, they are generally light across the region. We take a look now at our satellite feed, where I do apologize that it's not showing the moisture level across our area, but I can tell you that we do have a tropical wave just further out at 27 degrees west, moving towards the west. There is also Tropical Storm Joyce. Now that system is just around 1,250 miles to the east of the northern leewards. At 5 p.m., the system was located at 18 degrees north, 44 degrees west. It is moving towards the northwest, maximum sustained winds 50 miles per hour. Now, the system is not posing any threat to us here in Barbados or the region. Just around Sunday, we are expecting that it will turn towards the northeast. For us here in Barbados today, the ridge pattern was our dominant feature. As a result, we had just a few light showers, up to 1 millimeter of rainfall in St. James. The winds across the region, they're quite light, peaking at 17 knots. Those seas at this time smooth to moderate in open water, with swells peaking at 1.5 meters. Later on tonight here in Barbados, we are expecting a mix of clear and cloudy skies, along with only a few light showers. Now, further south, showers and isolated thunderstorms prevailed across the coastal areas of the Guianas. And over in the Western Caribbean, instability there maintained showers and isolated thunderstorms during the afternoon. That's our first look at the weather. After the break, we'll have the forecast.
From the heart of Barbados, we are your 2024 St. Thomas Parish Ambassadors.
Are you aware of the Child Protection Bill of Barbados?
The Child Protection Bill focuses on the best interests of all children in Barbados, with particular attention to those who are most vulnerable.
Furthermore, it emphasizes the importance of proper care for children under 12.
Remember, if a child is left unsupervised for an extended period, it can be considered an offense and lead to legal consequences such as fines or even imprisonment, as it puts the child at risk.
By prioritizing the well-being of all children and holding adults accountable, the Child Protection Bill builds a safety net for Barbados' most precious gems. Let's all protect the children of Barbados, the gems of our nation.
Welcome back. In the forecast for tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 5:47 and will set at 5:50. Now, the first high tide is expected at 24 minutes to 1 in the early morning, the first low at 7:31 a.m. Those seas smooth to moderate in open water with swells peaking at 1.5 meters. The winds coming in from the east and they're peaking now at 20 kilometers per hour. For us here in Barbados tonight, the ridge pattern will continue to dominate. We are expecting a mix of clear and cloudy skies along with just a few showers. And over the next 3 days, a mix of sunshine, clouds and showers can be expected, especially during the afternoon. We are expecting those localized showers.
And it's welcome back to Mark Seal. I understand there's reason to sing tonight. Keep on pushing, Suki.
Well, yes, indeed. He did quite well. Not good enough, but okay enough. Top Barbados drafts player Ronald Suki King has finished 7th at the 3-move restriction World Championship qualifier being played in Germany. King had slipped to 6th position in the standings on 14 points from 2 draws yesterday after being tied for the lead the day before. But in today's final 2 rounds, the international grandmaster only collected 3 more points to end on 17 points and in 7th position. The winner is Malakaya Nankuwela of South Africa, who ended with 23 points, and he will now play the champion Sergio Scarpetta of Italy for the world title next year. Now, of the other Barbadians at the qualifier, Kent Lane finished 13th on 16 points, while Colin Price also ended on 16, but he placed 14th. Cage cricket, that's a high-scoring version of the sport which is being played on hard courts, is aiming to pique the interest of schools and communities across Barbados. CBC's Damien Best has that story.
Imagine scoring a triple century in cricket on debut. Well, that's possible with cage cricket. 6 players in the heat of battle on a hard court with opportunities for batters to score runs by hitting 4 zones marked from 10 all the way up to 60. While good fielding earns you points as well. That's the basic observations of the sport, which was created by Trevor McCardle in the United Kingdom in 2007. Sharomi Brewster is leading efforts to reignite interest in the sport here in Barbados since it was introduced back in 2013.
Cage cricket is literally 6 players playing as individuals, even though you play as a team, which is quite, a unique experience. So you play as an individual, you bat, bowl, field and umpire in the different zones. You've got red, yellow and green zone. So in the red zone, you actually umpire the game. And then as a batter, the whole idea, you got to score points by hitting the ball to the zones, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. As a fielder, you've got to stop the ball from hitting the zones. You can gain points by catching the ball, and also you can gain points by hitting the wicket. You can win points, lose points. But what's great about the game, everyone's playing as a team, but there's one win at the end.
The Leicester Vaughan School will be the venue of a schools tournament as well.
So we've got 4 schools and we've got 2 teams for Prince's Trust team programs. So they're going to play, and then the whole idea is 3 winners at the end. So it's 6 schools, and then we'll come down to 1 team playing, and then it'll be 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and we'll see who wins.
Kishmar Catlin is the cage cricket officer for Barbados and says the benefits of this version of the sport are tremendous.
You don't necessarily have to be a cricketer in order to play. As you can see, we have some points that are set up all around the fencings, and this is a game that also causes you to analyze the game. So you may not be the most skillful, but if you have to chase 80 points from your 6 deliveries, you would then start to think analytically in terms of if I have to punch some balls through point, do I need to go over the top or can I cover drive some balls? So it actually causes the particular boys and girls that are playing the sport to think. And if you look at our cricket regionally and then internationally, you see on some occasions, unfortunately, when it comes to the mental skills or the critical thinking skills, we are lacking in that department.
There's also plans for local players to compete internationally.
So we're going to plan then to liaise with the primary school PE teachers so that we can then get it into the primary schools. And then from there, we're going to have an exchange program where the top performers from the primary schools and the secondary schools will then be afforded opportunity to travel to England 1 year, and then the next year, the top school cricketers in England will come down to Barbados. So there are a lot of positive plans for the near future, and this is just the restarting of the project that we had going very well before COVID hit.
Today's demonstration featured a celebrity match with physical education teachers and current BCA players involved. Jafari Toppin sees cage cricket as useful, especially at the primary school level.
I think it's a very good initiative. It's fun, which is very important as well. It could get points. It obviously controls your shot selection as well in terms of hitting ball in the air, hitting ball out the zone. So I think it's very good. With the softball, obviously kids are quite frightened for the hard ball now in terms of since COVID. It's a struggle a bit in primary schools with the hard ball. So I think this is something good for the softball, the kids having fun as well and getting to meet other peers.
There are hundreds of people playing cage cricket across the world, and the hope is that the entire Caribbean will be part of the action very soon. Damien Best, CBC Sports.
And as we are getting closer to the business end of the Prime Minister's Cup, tonight we feature a team that is establishing themselves among the top ranked.
Let's play ball. Here's a look at the teams gearing up to do battle in the inaugural Prime Minister's Cup. Let's play ball in Bank Hall. Popped in on one of the training sessions for Empire, who so far has been having a good run in the Prime Minister's Cup, sitting at the top of Group F. The man leading the charge is Armando McLeod, who's very pleased with how his side has been going so far.
It's been going quite well for me in the competition, because my first game we dominated 6-2. And we could have dominated more, but the team was just gelling together. So now we are gelling some more, so right now we're ready to go.
And in being ready to go, there are some key areas of focus the Empire boys are working on.
We're going through our attacking drill right now. We're playing like 7v5 to get the attackers them to overload. So it's going very good right now. The team is pumped and ready to go for the next game. Trying to get my defense line to pass out the ball, keep possession and don't rush the plays, and the keeper to pass out the ball right now. That's what the main purpose right now.
With a good start to the competition, the players are fully invested.
The response is not too bad, because you know most players in Barbados, they work, so when they can turn up, they turn up. But it's very good going. They're doing good, they're committed.
I know you're hearing that accent and asking, where is Coach McLeod from?
I'm a professional footballer from Jamaica. I play professional in Jamaica, so I played for Empire from 2016. So they see the talent and see that I can turn it over to other players. So that's why they enroll me as a coach right now, to develop them to a professional thing like what I've been through.
And given his background, he offered a very candid perspective of the local players.
Barbados players are very talented, but they seem to have a lack of I think they have a little laziness inside of them. They relax too much. They don't push hard enough to get their talents out, because they are very talented. And I'm pushing the guys to work harder and be more serious about what they're doing and all of that stuff, you know.
Coach McLeod sees the Prime Minister's Cup also advancing their development.
I think it's a very good thing, because it's like a semi-professional league, so players can get to adapt to getting professional, because that's what I think the country needs to get, a professional league, so players can get paid to play and not working, you understand? So the Prime Minister's Cup is very good for the country.
So as Empire is establishing themselves as one of the teams to beat, Coach McCloy says it's time for their fans to rally around them.
I want the fans them to come out and support the Prime Minister's Cup, because Empire is going to go far in this competition. And big up to all the other teams, but you know it's Empire all the way.
That was Let's Play Ball. We just got some insight into the teams gearing up for the inaugural Prime Minister's Cup.
That's sports. Benny, we're going into the weekend.
Thank you so much, Mark. We'll return after the break. Viewing, do enjoy the rest of your evening.